Hello, everybody. So, Noam Chomsky recently caused a lot of controversy recently because in a recent interview with Mehdi Hasan, he said that he thinks that leftists, progressives should support Joe Biden in the general election because, Joe Biden's the lesser of two evils. This is a fairly common thing that Noam Chomsky said. I mean, he said this for all the previous general elections. So it's not like particularly surprising that he said this. But it caused some controversy, obviously. And so let me just read. So this first tweet is just now asked by at Mehdi Hasan whether he'll be voting for Joe Biden. Noam Chomsky says, "Of course, I wouldn't hesitate for a second. I'm not going to vote for the destruction of organized human society." So just a little expert from that or excerpt from that interview, and then so just some person on Twitter decided to respond to that and say, more generally, why would Noam Chomsky, who is consistently wrong about basically everything, be someone you'd reference in favor of something you support? And so this is obviously something I disagree with. I think that Noam Chomsky is probably without question, at least one of the most thoughtful voices against U.S. imperialism, to arguably ever exist. I mean, he's incredibly influential as like an academic author, and like his writings are just phenomenal. Obviously, I don't agree with him on everything, but I think that he's greatly influential, obviously. And so Mehdi Hasan, I think justifiably decided to chime in against that and defend Noam Chomsky and say, "Pretty sure Chomsky was right about Iraq and you were wrong. And hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis, including kids, are dead today because of the wrongness of people like you." And so I found this tweet so interesting just for the fact that Mehdi Hasan completely misses the irony of what he is saying, because he is, in a roundabout way, defending voting for Joe Biden by attacking Joe Biden. Because Noam Chomsky opposed the Iraq War. That's awesome. I mean, Iraq War, one of the most atrocious foreign policy decisions, just the current era, without a doubt. And so he, rightfully so, opposed it. But this guy was saying that you shouldn't listen to Noam Chomsky about, he was specifically talking about voting for Biden. And Mehdi Hasan decides to say, "Oh, well, Noam Chomsky was right about Iraq War, and that cost hundreds of thousands of innocent people died because of the Iraq War." Mehdi Hasan is advocating for people to vote for Joe Biden. Joe Biden voted for the Iraq War. The, just the irony of pointing out one of the most horrific things that Joe Biden has ever done, voting for the Iraq War, and then using that as a way to defend someone who is saying that you should vote for Joe Biden, and like using this as like, oh, they're right about this and you should defend Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden is large. I mean, he's not the only person, he's not the only reason that the Iraq War happened, but he was very outspoken in favor of it and he voted for it. So like, and he was a sitting U.S. senator. He had a large part in why those innocent people that Mehdi Hasan is talking about are no longer alive. Like that, Joe Biden is 100% responsible for that, at least to a degree. I mean, he is responsible for that, and I think it points out just a larger problem that is coming with people with the kind of vote blue no matter who movement. This kind of like, we have to support whoever is opposing Donald Trump because Donald Trump is so dangerous. And I get that it is super important to get Donald Trump out of office. That is super important, but we cannot get like lost in the weeds of like what it is we are supporting to get Donald Trump out of office. Joe Biden is a war criminal, and I get it. I get it for like practicality. Like you're not going to describe like, because a lot of honestly politicians could be classified as war criminals, and so just for in normal conversation you're not going to call him a war criminal, but like he is, like he just is. And so like we can't like, I get Donald Trump is horrible. Like Joe Biden would be better than Donald Trump on a number of issues. Like I'm not one of these people that says like oh it'd be equally bad. I do think that Joe Biden would probably be better, but like let's not get lost in what exactly we're defending and what we're fighting for. Like anybody arguing that people should vote for Joe Biden, if they are progressive, they should say that like this is a begrudging thing. This is like they should 100% like have 1,000 caveats. Say like, hey, we should support Joe Biden with all these different caveats of why Joe Biden is horrible, but it's because of ABC. He's better than Donald Trump. But like we can't like be saying like, oh, like Trump, like just to bring up the Iraq War. Why would he bring this up when this is all about voting for Joe Biden, and he points out one of the worst decisions that Joe Biden has ever made. I don't understand it. I really don't. Like Mehdi Hasan, like I mean, I haven't followed him for like a super long time. Probably like right around when the primary was starting is when I started following Mehdi Hasan. And I thought he tweeted some pretty good stuff. I mean, I didn't follow him outside of Twitter, but like, he seemed like pretty good on a lot of things, and it's just like, I don't know. He's just really taken a turn recently defending Joe Biden, and I just think that he's getting lost in a lot of the problems that a lot of people are. And they'll say things like a common defense against why you should vote for Joe Biden against Donald Trump is like, oh, kids in cages. Oh, Donald Trump has kids in cages, and like it really has to be said. Like it might be like cliche at this point, but like the kids in cages started under Joe Biden as vice president. Barack Obama was president. Joe Biden was vice president. That's when the kids in cages started, like on the border. And so, like, we can't, like, that is not an argument for Joe Biden. Say, oh, kids in cages, like, that's why we got to vote out Donald Trump. Joe Biden is not better than Donald Trump in that regard. At least he wasn't when he was vice president. He can say a bunch of stuff now. He said stuff about like how no deportations will happen under him, when he becomes president for like the first year, something along those lines. I don't know. It's just he makes promises like that, and I'm like, you're lying. Like you're just lying. Like it's just not true. Like it's just there's no reason that we should like when Joe Biden advocates for like something, let's say a $15 an hour minimum wage. Joe Biden says that he supports $15 an hour minimum wage. I don't believe that he's gonna fight for that because like when he was like this is a fun fact. The last time the U.S. had a minimum wage increase was under George Bush. So we had 8 years of Barack Obama. Joe Biden was vice president. No increases to the federal minimum wage. None. No. $0 increase. So why on earth would I believe that Joe Biden will now miraculously fight to essentially double what the minimum wage is to get a $15 an hour minimum wage? Because it's $7.25 right now is what I believe the federal minimum wage is. It's not gonna happen. Joe Biden is not gonna fight for like these progressive issues. So like, it's just we really just have to keep in mind that okay, if people are saying if you live in a swing state, if you're not in a swing state, I don't think you should vote for Joe Biden. I really don't. Like the guy's horrendous. I don't advocate voting for Joe Biden. If you're in a swing state, you know, I think it is kind of important to be a little bit more strategic with your vote. I hate strategic voting, but like, I get the arguments about like how damaging Donald Trump is. So like, that's a different issue if you're living in a swing state. But like, it's just we can't get lost in defending Joe Biden and forget that like Joe Biden is also part of the problem. Joe Biden is incredibly damaging, and like we just got to keep that in mind. And people like Mehdi Hasan, I really think you're gonna see a lot more stuff like this from Mehdi Hasan. People just completely missing the point of like what we're opposing. And just because someone has a Republican in front of their name, that like just because someone has a Democrat in front of their name does not mean they're the good guy. Like by definition, that does not mean you're just a good guy just because you're a Democrat. And so just an interesting kind of interaction that I thought I'd share that just kind of shows a larger issue that I'm seeing right now. And so I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you disagreed with anything I said, please leave a comment down below. I really love to hear like where areas of disagreement are, and I will 100% reply to your comment. So yeah, please leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.